Hi, Lemons. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Cable. How's everybody doing? Happy Wednesday. Hi, Wookie. How you doing? Hi again, Lemons. Yay, I'm so glad, Court. Thank you, Trisha, for the beautiful coral. Rhyme, I did do a live today. Oh, that's okay, Robin. Thank you, Trisha. Those are so beautiful. I wish they actually looked like that. Hi, Vampy. Hello, Tim. Hi, NICU. Girl, stop pinning yourself. I'm glad, Gemini. Hi, Erica. How you doing, love bug? I'm glad, Bubs. That's the point. Most people fall asleep. Thank you for the hand hearts, Millie. Okay, NICU. I don't know what you're talking about, but okay, I'm down. Send it to me in text. Hi, Joker. Uh-oh, somebody's comments got filtered. That doesn't happen very often that it tells me. No, I haven't, Kenneth. I haven't seen it. Hi, Justin. Yeah, Wookie, it sure does. The chat does go fast. Hi, Draconis. Good, Vampy. I'm glad to hear that. Hi, Blues. Hi, Mary. Justin, you're awesome. Oh, thank you, Wookie. That's so sweet. Oh, you're so sweet. Thanks, Wookie. That's so kind. Thanks for being you. You hanging in there? How you doing? Hi, Chelsea. Which one's your favorite, Lonnie? Oh, good, Millie. Hi, TR. Hi, Cecilia. Thank you so much. I love your name. Cecilia is such a pretty name. Well, Mama Bear, we vote for the first story soon, and then we start the first story around 10:30. So in about 15 minutes. And with that, you guys feel free to put in your requests in all capital letters, please, so I can write them down. Hi, Tertia. Is it Tertia or Tertia? All right, now I'm going to write them down, and then we can vote on them. Hi, Glossa. Hi, Ash. And no worries, Lily. I got yours. Okay, Sherry, I got yours. Yeah, I do this every night, Mama Bear, but on Wednesdays I'm live twice. Thanks, Glossette, you're funny. Ah. Thanks, Tersha. Do I have any about Faye? Yeah, I do actually. I have one on the Will o' the Wisp, which is it is considered Faye. And I mean, Fae are elementals, so it kind of depends on how you categorize them. Aw, Wookie, I'm so glad. And of course you're feeling overwhelmed. Thanks, Sue. How you doing? Yeah, I think you might like Marshlight, Vampy. I think you'd probably like Marshlight. Okay, you guys. I'm gonna set up the first poll. Of course, Vampy. Of course. Oh, you're back in the hospital? I'm sorry to hear that, Rhyme. You know what? I don't have any spooky hospital stories, but I wrote one. I just haven't ever recorded it, so, or like made a background or anything, so I need to. But thanks, Stylized Toadstool. Hi, Kim. Okay. You brought beans. Melissa, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the porch. Which one would you vote for, Ramen? Oh, you're gonna stay, Mama Bear? Oh, nice. I'm glad. Hang out. Tank Girl, it's pretty much always lit. We don't need it to be September and October to be spooky. It's pretty much always lit. Hi, RM Caldwell. How are you? Pretty much, yep. Tank Girl. Yeah, pretty much. Hi, Mez. Yeah, I can't imagine, Pippa. I can't imagine. All right, you guys, I'm going to set up the first poll with your requests. And if you guys could do me a big favor, could you hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner? And there is a yellow circle with two arrows chasing each other that says repost. That puts my live into your friends' FYPs. And it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. So reposting, sharing to your stories, sharing to your friends, all greatly appreciated. Also, thank you for everybody tapping. Tapping helps a lot too. And I will be right back with the first poll. Welcome to the porch. Thank you, Sue. All Hi, Diamante. Yay, Michelle. Hey. Put in your request in all caps if you guys haven't added them yet. I'm just doing the poll right now for the first poll. Okay, Holly, I got it. Hi, Terry. All right, guys, the first poll is ready. We have the Flatwoods monster, the mad scientist, Huggin' Molly, the marshlight, and the deer woman. And you can vote in the top left-hand corner. There is a blue box, and you can vote up to 50 times a person, and you can vote for more than one story. Who's it gonna be? Flatwoods monster, mad scientist, Huggin' Molly, the marshlight, or the deer woman? The Flatwoods monster's a good one. Also, Mez, yes, I keep forgetting to make a list. I will make a list and put it on Discord. I just keep forgetting. Sorry, guys. I just wrote it down, so I'll do it. Hi, Priscilla. Thank you, Sue. Hi, Janelle. Oh, sorry, Sue. I don't know how to do polls yet on YT, so the polls are only on TikTok as of right now because I just started cross streaming, but I will eventually figure out how to do them over there too. But for right now, they're just on TikTok. I'm sorry. So you don't have to worry about voting. You can just sit back and relax. Hi, Amy. All right. And the winner is the Flatwoods Monster. I like this one. The Flatwoods Monster also does have his own merch in the Cryptid Arcana collection of my merch. He is the Sun card. I don't think so, Matt. Sorry. All right, you guys, sit back and relax. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, and welcome to the porch. As I always say, there is always room for one more on the porch. I'll be right back with the tale of the Flatwoods Monster. Sue, you're close, but it's the Flatwoods Monster. Like woods? You're close though. And thank you to everybody who's sharing and reposting the live. Reposting helps immensely. submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the Flatwoods Monster. It was the evening of September 12th, 1952, in the quiet rural town of Flatwoods, West Virginia, a place where the Appalachian Mountains rose like ancient sentinels, cloaked in dense forests and shrouded in mist. The air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of pine and damp earth, and the first hints of autumn were beginning to paint the leaves in shades of gold and crimson. Flatwoods was a small, tight-knit community, a place where everyone knew everyone, where life moved at the pace of the seasons, and where the night sky was so dark and vast that it felt like you could fall into it. But on this particular evening, something strange and terrifying would descend upon Flatwoods. Something that would leave the townsfolk shaken to the core and spark a mystery that endures to this day. To understand the Flatwoods Monster, you must first understand the people who encountered it. Flatwoods was a town of farmers, miners, and factory workers. Hard-working, salt-of-the-earth folks who valued practicality over fantasy. Among them were a group of boys aged 10 to 17 who were out playing near the local schoolhouse that evening. There was Edward May, a 13-year-old with a curious mind and a love of adventure. His brother Fred May, 12, who was cautious but equally intrigued. And their friends Tommy Heyer, 10, and Neil Nunley, 14. They were ordinary kids, the kind who spent their days exploring the woods and playing baseball and dreaming of the future. Also present that evening was Kathleen May, Edward and Fred's mother, a strong-willed woman in her 40s who had seen her share of hardships but always faced them with determination. And then there was Eugene Lemon, a 17-year-old National Guardsman who was home on leave, a young man with a sense of duty and a level head. These were the people who would soon find themselves at the center of one of the most bizarre and chilling encounters in American history. It all began just after sunset around 7:15 p.m. The boys were playing near the schoolhouse when they noticed a strange light in the sky. It was a bright reddish-orange object moving slowly and silently across the horizon before disappearing into the hill. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, username. The boys were intrigued, but not overly alarmed. After all, it was the early 1950s, a time when reports of flying saucers and UFOs were becoming increasingly common. But then, something happened that changed everything. As the boys watched, the object seemed to land in a field on the farm of G. Bailey Fisher, just outside of town. They ran to Kathleen May's house, bursting with excitement and curiosity. Kathleen, ever the practical woman, grabbed a flashlight and decided to investigate. She was joined by Eugene Lemon, who just happened to be visiting her. And the group set off into the gathering darkness. The night was cool and still, and the only sounds were the crunch of gravel underfoot and the occasional rustle of leaves in the breeze. The group made their way up a steep hill, their flashlights cutting through the gloom. And as they reached the top, they noticed a strange smell. A metallic sulfurous smell that made their eyes water and their throats burn. It was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Suddenly, Eugene Lemon's inadequate flashlight caught something in the distance. A pair of glowing red eyes, hovering about 10 feet off the ground. The group froze, their hearts pounding, as they stared in disbelief as the figure began to move toward them. It was tall, at least 10 feet, with a round, hooded head that seemed to glow with an eerie greenish light. Its body was dark and humanoid with long, spindly arms that ended in claw-like hands. But the most terrifying feature was its face. A pair of glowing red eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness, and a mouth that was shaped like a wide, menacing slit. The creature let out a hissing sound, and the group turned and ran, stumbling down the hill in a blind panic. Kathleen May later described the experience as the most terrifying moment of her life. Eugene Lemon, who had been at the front of the group, was so frightened that he fainted and had to be carried back to the house. The group returned to the May household shaken and pale, and Kathleen called the local sheriff, who arrived with a deputy to investigate. By then, word of the sighting had spread and a crowd of curious neighbors had gathered. The sheriff and his deputy, armed with flashlights and shotguns, made their way up the hill to the spot where the creature had been seen. They found nothing but the lingering smell of sulfur and a few disturbed patches of grass. The next day, the story made headlines in the local newspaper, the Braxton Democrat. The early 1950s were a period of great change and uncertainty, and the world was still recovering from the devastation of World War II and the Cold War was heating up. The threat of nuclear war loomed large, and people were both fascinated and terrified by the rapid advancements in technology. It was an era of flying saucers and science fiction, of the day the Earth stood still, and the War of the Worlds. People were looking to the skies, wondering what or who might be out there. In Flatwoods, the sighting sparked a mix of excitement and fear. Some people were thrilled by the idea of extraterrestrial visitors, while others were deeply unsettled. The local newspaper was flooded with letters and phone calls, some from people claiming to have seen the creatures themselves, others demanding answers. And soon, reporters from across the country were descending on Flatwoods, West Virginia. The town became a hub of activity, with investigators, UFO enthusiasts, and curious onlookers flocking to the scene. Among them was A. Lee Stewart, Jr., the co-owner of the Braxton Democrat, who interviewed the witnesses and published a detailed account of the incident. The story also caught the attention of the U.S. government, which was already investigating reports of UFOs as part of Project Blue Book. The CIA, which had taken a keen interest in UFO sightings during the Cold War, also took note of the incident. Declassified records from the CIA reveal that the Flatwoods monster was considered a highly credible case, with multiple witnesses and physical evidence, including the strange odor and the disturbed grass. Over the years, numerous theories have been proposed to explain the Flatwoods monster. Some believe it was an extraterrestrial being, a visitor from another world. Others think it might have been a misidentified animal, such as a large owl or large bird, or even a piece of space debris. The strange odor and the glowing eyes have led some to speculate that the creature might have been a form of plasma or ball lightning, a rare and poorly understood phenomenon. But for the people of Flatwoods, the explanation was simple. They had encountered something otherworldly. Something that defied explanation. The incident left a lasting impression on the town, and to this day, the Flatwoods monster is a source of both pride and unease. Every year, the town hosts the Flatwoods Monster Festival, a celebration of the strange and the unknown, where locals and visitors alike come together to share stories, enjoy music, and remember that fateful night in 1952. The Flatwoods monster remains one of the most compelling and chilling UFO encounters in history. Despite numerous investigations and theories, no one has ever been able to definitively explain what the witnesses saw that night. As you sit under the vast Appalachian sky, listening to the rustle of the leaves and feeling the cool breeze on your skin, it's easy to imagine what it must be, those glowing red eyes for the first time. To feel the mix of awe and fear, to wonder if you were witnessing something beyond human understanding. For the people of Flatwoods, the creature was a source of wonder and mystery. A reminder that even in the most ordinary places, the extraordinary can happen. And that's the tale of the Flatwoods monster. Hi TJ, thanks for stopping in. Nice to see you. Nancy, thank you for the hand hearts. Drew, thank you for the level up sparks. And Christine, thank you for the greeting heart. Also, thank you to those of you who are placing merch orders. They keep popping up on my phone. Thanks. Appreciate you guys. And welcome in. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. Oh, thanks, Holly. I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I am here every single night. Yeah, I saw that, Rochelle. Thanks. And I am here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. I do write and record all these stories myself, and they are available on my YT channel as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you will find me. And thank you, Mez. I appreciate that. Thanks, Kat. Yeah, it actually happened too. Isn't that wild? Yes, Holly Bear, for sure. Yes, Missy, I just said that story is real. That story literally happened. You can look it up. I said it was from declassified CIA documents. Isabel, you're so funny. Oh, don't be sorry. Yeah. Most of them are true. They're mostly based on, even the ones I write about myself being in them, those are based off of actual experiences people have had and actual folklore. I just write them in like first person, like immersion, but they are still all like true if you believe that stuff. You know what I mean? I can't really force somebody to believe that they're true, but does that make sense? I don't even know if that makes sense, but they are true if you believe that stuff. These have all been things that have happened or been reported to have happened. And Missy Mama, you must be popular. I think everybody in here knows you. Welcome to the porch. Matt, right, Matt? Oh, thank you, Purple. Well, and the Are You Afraid of the Dark reworkings I do, clearly, like those I wouldn't say, because those are You Afraid of the Dark reworkings, so those aren't based off of like from what I know, actual reported encounters, but besides that, all the other stories, yeah. Why is it always West Virginia? That's a good question, Pippa. West Virginia does have a lot of activity, a lot of unexplained stuff. But it is the only state that is completely, the entire state is within the Appalachian Mountains. So that could have something to do with it too. Yeah, that could be it too, Purple. Also, a lot of mining went down there and disturbed the land. So there's a lot of energy. Oh, you did? Isn't it the best, Frenchies? Isn't it the best? I love rewatching it. It takes you back. It really takes you back. Hi, Kira. How are you? Or is it Kieran? I know, Sherry. Aren't they fascinating? Oh, thanks, Holly. Holly, you have a great eye for attention to detail. You notice a lot of the things. You live in West Virginia, Missy Mama? Yeah, I grew up in North Carolina, and you are correct. West Virginia is, but I love West Virginia, but a lot of spooky stuff does go on there. I mean, that's where my favorite cryptid Zaddy is from, so. Oh, Rochelle, uh-oh, you had to restart your phone. Yeah, that's true, Aaron. It does. You're correct. Yes, Lily, I'm so glad you found our community too. Welcome to the porch. And I'm sorry you're in pain. Anywhere close to Skyline Mountain, Mez. Where is that? Where's Skyline Mountain? Good night, Ellie. Sweet dreams. I'm sorry, Lily. I have chronic pain too. I understand. In Virginia? Ooh, I'll have to look that up. Hi, Leslie. All right, you guys, I'm going to set up the next poll for us to vote for the next story. And if you are new here, welcome in. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep better. I am here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. If you guys could do me a favor while I set up the next poll and hit that share arrow in the bottom right hand corner if you are on TT, there is a yellow circle that says repost with 2 arrows chasing each other. That puts my live into your friends' FYPs and it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. And grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax, and welcome to the porch. As I always say, there is always room for one more on the porch. And thank you for the repost, guys. Thank you, Kiernan. I appreciate that. Oh my gosh, thank you, username. I love that one. Why is he? I love that one. I love the noise and the moon. God, that's so cute. Thank you. He is so beautiful. God, I love that. Thank you so much. That is, right? It's like, it's so cool. And the way that you can hear him running through the snow, the sound effects of it are so good. It's just a really good one. Thank you so much. I know. Wasn't that cool? And it lasts for a while too. It's a really good one. You're right. It's badass, but I thought it was cute. I think wolves are cute. So beautiful, right? Yeah. Thank you so much, a username. I appreciate you, friend. Mez heard the wolf over on T-Witch. All right, you guys. The next poll is ready. We have the Goat Man versus the Marshlight versus Huggin' Molly versus the Deer Woman versus the Hide Behind. Who's it gonna be? Hi, Nancy. Welcome back. Oh, Priscilla, I bet. I love Southern thunderstorms so much. Jason, I do not have a story called Dr. Hectic or something. Hi, Midnight Driver. How are you? Welcome in. Hi, Leslie. Hi, Daniel-san. Daniel-san, were you here for Flatwoods Monster? I sent you an invite because I didn't think you were here. Oh, that was a close one. Huggin' Molly hung in there, y'all. She hung in there. You were here. Sorry, Daniel. I was like, oh shit, Flatwoods looks like it's winning. I gotta send Daniel an invite. He likes this story. You're so sneaky, Daniel. You're such a sneaker. I miss when you're in the chat. I know you're busy. But I miss when you're in the chat. Hi, Tracy. I'm glad you're here, though. I know, James. Did you see that? Molly hung in there, man. Hi, Tracy. Yeah, Molly hung in there. All right, you guys. The winner was The Tale of the Marsh Light. Yeah, Queen Cece, we just finished. Welcome in. The winner is The Tale of the Marsh Light. And Vampy, this is a Fae story. So, you will like it. Is what, Dub? The live stream? Yeah, Isabel. Woo woo. This is a spooky one. It's a weird one. Wait, is Vampy still here or did she leave? That's okay, Mez. I didn't even know where it was at all, so no clue. Somebody else said Virginia. So I think they were thinking of the same thing you were. The Marshlight one, Lori. Did Vampy leave? Because that was the one she wanted. Vampy, where'd you go? Okay. All right, you guys. The Marshlight won, and I will be right back. Give me 1 second to set up and grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock. Welcome to the porch. Ooh, really? The spook light? That sounds cool. Why can't you go there anymore? Do bad things happen? Or they just don't like fun? There's Vampy. Okay, Vampy, the Marshlight story won. Oh, you said she'll be back. Okay. This is the story you wanted. So it's like, we gotta wait for Vampy. The mad scientist? Dub. It is about an Appalachian snowstorm. It'll be titled under like the thumbnail and something. It'll say something about an Appalachian snowstorm, and it is one of the only ones with snow in the thumbnail. There's like only 5 or 4 that have snow, so that should narrow it down. And I'm sorry I have to title them such weird ways, but it's search engine optimization. I have really no choice. Yeah, thanks for understanding, Dub. Because on the inside of the video, they have the titles. But, and that's actually called The Whispering Pines. But, sounds like a wild party, Matt, right? I know, Lily. Dub has patiently waited for the mad scientist. Now he's just like, what do you say? He said he's going to go over to YT and watch it. Poor Dub. Aw, Dub. You know what, Dub? I'm just going to keep the mad scientist on the polls for the rest of the night until it wins, okay? He said, no, I'm fine listening to it on YT. Aw. Dub. I haven't read it in a while. And you know, Chelsea came into my Witchy Wednesday live today, and she said she agrees that there needs to be some justice for Chelsea t-shirts. I know, he is so sweet. Yeah, isn't that funny? She was like, yeah, I think there needs to be a justice for Chelsea shirt. I was like, that's pretty valid. All right, you guys, I'll be right back with the Marshlight. Get cozy. Hi, Lorna. A different kind of justice. Wait, what kind of justice, Daniel? There's 2 different injustices. The fact that I wrote her as the troublemaker, adventurous one when she is in fact not, or the fact that she disappears. Yeah, her character. Yeah. There's 2 injustices. I knew that's what you were referring to. It's because I wrote her as Totally the problematic character when she's like the most not that way at all. A username, thank you for the star map of Polaris. Like if I had $1 for every time Chelsea's been like, get in this car, get in the car, I'd be rich. Because I'm the one that's like, like hopping out, like, trying to free horses and stuff, you know, the usual. You know what's funny, you guys, is I actually did know a guy named Chet. And he lived in coastal North Carolina. I know that's not surprising. Because that is, in fact, where a guy... And you know he had, like, Sperry's. Let's be real. He did. And he wore, like, collared polos and everything. He was totally, like, a seersucker-loving dude. Hi, Lisa. Sherry. Yeah, really. I love you, Dub. Dub said, Marsh, like, gonna go hard. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, the words are something something bait shop. It's just it's an old bait shop. Thank you, John. That was beautiful. Thank you, Michelle, for the greeting heart. That was cute. Thank you, Miss Kitty, for the cozy cryptid. And Michelle, thanks for the populars. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the marshlight. I took the internship because I needed the credits and because I thought it would be a quiet summer. And that's what I wanted. Something quiet. The job was with a tiny nonprofit in a dying Louisiana town called Belmare. Thank you, Lily. Just south of Lake Maurepas. They handled wetland conservation efforts, mostly grant writing and seasonal cleanup crews. I'd be staying in a loaned cabin and helping digitize land records, logging reports on water levels and wildlife sightings. But I should have asked more questions. Belmare didn't show up on most maps. It wasn't quite a ghost town, but it sure felt like it was getting there. The roads were cracked and sun-faded. Gas station pumps were bagged, and the post office was boarded up. The only signs of life were a few sagging houses wrapped in moss and kudzu, and an overgrown Catholic cemetery that leaned toward the bayou, like it was trying to slide back into the swamp. The nonprofit headquarters was a converted bait shop on stilts. The woman who ran it was in her 70s and barely looked up from her crossword when I arrived. She handed me a ring of keys and a box of old manila folders and told me the cabin was on the far edge of the old preserve, but that it hadn't been used in years. I drove out there with my windows down, trying to pretend the sweat wasn't soaking through my shirt. The cabin was about 10 minutes from the main road, just a short bridge away from sinking into the marsh. Cypress trees loomed on all sides, their roots tangled in the mud, and the smell of sulfur and rot drifted on the heavy air. I remember standing on the porch, looking at the black water beneath the stilts and thinking that if the earth had a throat, this swamp was where it choked. The first night was uneventful, just heat and mosquitoes. I found an old box fan and plugged it in by the window, and I set up my laptop and I fell asleep to the chirr of frogs and distant pops of the marsh. It was the second night that things started to get strange. I woke up around 3 a.m. to a light outside the window. Not headlights from a car and not a flashlight. It was blue, pale, and pulsing faintly like a dying star just above the waterline. I sat up slowly and I pressed my face to the window screen. The light hovered maybe 20 feet from the cabin, just beyond the edge of the trees, casting long, watery shadows that rippled across the roots and the grass. It drifted slightly left and then right, and then it vanished. I waited for something to follow, an engine, a voice, anything, but there was nothing. In the morning, I told myself it must have been swamp gas or a trick of the light. Maybe I was just more tired than I'd realized. Maybe I'd still kind of been in a dream state. But then, I looked it up, and what I found blew my mind. Will-o'-the-wisp, marsh fire, Ignis fatuus. All old names for the same thing. Mysterious lights that appear over wetlands, and they're supposedly harmless. The next few days passed quietly enough. I digitized a dozen old surveys, took a kayak into the cypress groves, and I even spotted a few spoonbills and a nest of baby gators. But something felt wrong in the air. Not just the smell, although that got worse. No, it was the quiet. It was just way too quiet. And I hadn't seen a single other person since I arrived. And the nonprofit office had closed early every day. I chalked it up to heat or disinterest, until I found the folder labeled Marshlight. It was buried under a stack of soil surveys in the back of the office filing cabinet. The kind of thing you only find if you're bored or nosy, and I was both. The label was handwritten in red marker, faded with what looked like water damage on the corners. Inside were 8 printed reports, all local, all describing sightings going back 40 years. The first one was from 1976. A fisherman claiming a blue light followed his boat and capsized it. The next was from 1982. A woman who said her brother wandered into the swamp, chasing a lantern, and never came back. Others followed, years apart, but eerily similar. Lights, disappearances, things seen in the water. The last was dated 1999. It simply read, "Subject claimed light spoke to her in dead brother's voice. Found wandering 6 miles from camp with feet covered in blood and no sign of brother." None of these were in the digital files I was uploading. Someone had deliberately kept them separate. I asked the old woman at the nonprofit about it the next day, and she looked up from her crossword for a long second and then muttered something about old stories and locals drinking too much. When I pressed, she snapped that I shouldn't go out at night, especially not near the standing pools. That night, I didn't sleep, and the light came back. This time, closer. I watched it from the crack in the curtain, how it moved in slow serpentine loops across the water, bobbing like it was searching. And then it stopped, right at the edge of the porch. It hovered there, flickering faintly, like breath on glass. I felt cold all over, like the room had been vacuum sealed. And then I heard the tap, tap, tap on the screen door. And then a scraping, like claws on metal. I didn't go outside. I didn't even breathe. The next morning, I found the porch screen torn open. 3 long gashes loaded the floor with muddy prints, like a cross between fingers and hooves dragging inward. I drove straight to the parish records office. It was a cinder block building next to an abandoned car wash, and the AC barely worked. I found a part-time clerk who let me comb through old reports while he napped in the break room. And that's where I found the name. The Bellmare Devil. Back in the early 1900s, locals believed in a swamp entity that lured people off paths with blue lanterns. They said it mimicked voices, stole faces, wore the skin of the people it lured. One folklorist from Tulane described it as a cryptid with shape-shifting abilities, capable of assuming familiar forms to draw victims into the water. I rushed back to the cabin, and I packed everything. Laptop, clothes, everything but the records. I wasn't staying one more night. And that's when I found the dead possum nailed to the door. The porch floor was soaked in dark, viscous water, and it was still wet. Whatever had done this had been here minutes before. I locked myself in the cabin and I called every number I had. No one answered. Not the nonprofit, not the police, not even my mom. That night, I heard it whispering my name through the walls. At first, I thought it was the wind or the radio, but it said my name again and again, like it was practicing how to say it. I pressed my back against the door and I held a kitchen knife in my lap until sunrise. When morning came, I bolted for the car. But my car was gone. Not vandalized, not broken into, gone. The gravel all around it was disturbed. Tracks hooved and deep led into the tree line as if something dragged my car away. And that's when I lost it. I tried running down the road, but the heat and the fear made me dizzy, and I collapsed in a ditch full of reeds and biting flies. I had no choice. I had to go back. I went back to the cabin and I barricaded the door. I found the old propane stove and I lit it, and I sat by it like a campfire, knife still clutched. And then came the knock. This time it was deliberate, rhythmic, knuckles on wood. I didn't move. And then a voice, my mother's voice, called out from outside. She said that she'd come to bring me home, and that she was sorry she hadn't answered my calls, and that she was worried about me. But I knew it wasn't her. She lived 3 states away. There was no way she could have gotten here that quickly. Then I heard another voice. Mine. It was me, outside, crying, pleading to be let in. I covered my ears and I rocked on the floor. The voices circled the cabin all night, laughing, begging, mimicking, but I didn't open the door. Then, sometime before dawn, the stove flickered and died. The last thing I saw was the blue glow rising again through the floorboards, seeping up like fog. And then everything went black. I don't remember anything else, and I woke up in a hospital weeks later. They found me on the porch of the cabin, dehydrated and feverish, and repeating my own name over and over again. They said the nonprofit shut down the day I went missing. The old woman who ran it, gone, vanished, and the property was seized by the state. When they questioned me, I said that I had had a heat stroke, a hallucination. I lied through my teeth because the truth was worse. When I got my belongings back, I found that my lucky bandana was missing. And in its place was a muddy scrap of old flannel that wasn't mine. I moved back north and I started going to therapy, and I tried to forget. But last week, I saw a news article. A group of campers had gone missing near Lake Maurepas. The only clue was a picture one of them uploaded right before disappearing. It showed a dim, marshy landscape and a small, flickering light hovering just above the water, and bright blue. And that's the tale of the marsh light. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Ramen. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Ange. Thanks, Sleepy Kitty. Welcome in. How are you? Selena said my bandana's with my missing earrings. Right. Hi, Samantha. How's everybody doing? Hi, Renee. Welcome to the porch, everybody. Thank you, Archangelo. That's so pretty. Michael, thank you for the cozy cryptids. Millie, thanks for the hand hearts and the cozy cryptids. A username, thank you for the goats. Tracy, thanks for the cozy cryptids. All right, you guys, I'm going to set up the next poll. Oh, Jackson. Did I get your message? No, I'll check them. I didn't even see it. Hi, Lady Rose. You're doing great. Good, Sleepy Kitty. You're in the right place. All right, you guys, the next poll is ready. Thank you, Delia. I write the stories. Oh, cool, Ange. I can't wait to hear the stories. Really? That's exciting. But the stories are based on folklore, like Michelle said, but I write them all. Or they're based on like actually reported encounters and stuff. All right, you guys. The next poll is ready. Oh, thanks, Delia. I appreciate that. The next poll is ready, and we have the Goat Man, the Mad Scientist, the Puckwudgies, the Selkies, and the Melon Heads. All right, you can vote in the top left-hand corner. There is a blue box. And we have the Goat Man, the Mad Scientist, the Puckwudgies, the Selkies, and the Melon Heads. The Melon Heads features our one and only Daniel-san. The Mad Scientist is the story Dub really wants. Puckwudgies features Anthony. Goatman is he's Goatman. And Selkies, they're going to be pissed. They only have one vote. They're going to be pissed. Wait, Lady Rose, what about Christina? Wait, what? It's crazy because Goatman, Selkies, and Melonheads are tied, which is really weird. Isn't that weird? They all three are tied. All right, the winner is the mad scientist. Dub said, "Am I dreaming?" He's been waiting for this story forever. Aw. This is a longer story. This is one of my longer ones. So buckle up, because this one's a wild ride. Oh, Nikki, I'm so glad I could help get rid of your migraine. Matt said, better luck next time, Selkies. They're going to get you. What did Kim say last time about the Selkies? Thank you, username. You're amazing. That's so cute. And if you are new here, welcome in. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. I am here every night from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. And I do write all these stories and record them myself. And if you want to find them, you can listen to them anytime you would like on my YT channel or any of the podcast streaming sites. Also, Lady Rose, her name's Chelsea in it. Christina's a different friend. But they both come into my lives. Yeah, Venus. Hi, cutie. You're already tucked into bed. Yeah. Also, if you guys haven't checked out the merch, it's really cute. You don't have to buy anything. It's just really fun stuff. It's on the top banner, and a lot of our jokes are in it and stuff. So I just thought you guys would enjoy it. It's been fun to make. Also, if you guys could do me a big favor while I get the Mad Scientist story ready. Ooh, I love a storm. That's so good. Hi, Moon Goddess. Hi, cutie. If you guys could, while I get the story ready, if you could hit that share arrow on the bottom right-hand corner. There's a yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs. And it helps us grow the porch. Thank you. Wait, was that Beefy who said that? Oh, James, thank you. Janae, is it Janae? Right? Janae, the story that won was the Mad Scientist. I know, Lady Rose, it's been a while since I've read it, so I'll be right back with the tale of, it's actually called The Whispering Pines, but we can just call it Mad Scientist. Be right back. Yes, we love you, Dub. Archangela, we were just talking about that today in the prints and how like we're all going to get like end up having print walls because it would look really cool to have like our favorite stories on a print wall. Ah. And let me know, let me know which other ones you want. I've been kind of just making them upon request. But if there's any others you guys want me to throw up there, I just did Moon-Eyed People for Trisha yesterday. Oh, and CJ. Is CJ still here? CJ, I made your inadequate flashlight bucket hat. Sure did. It's up and available now. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pals Society. This is the tale of Winter in Whispering Pines, also known as the Mad Scientist. Hi, I am Epic. You added a UFO. I love it. Hi. Hi, bestie. Hi, Jack. Okay, we have to pause because you guys Jack's back with his jabronis. Oh my God, it's never going to be not funny. Jabronis. Yeah, you're going to get a second laugh, Jack. This is the tale, or submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of Winter in Whispering Pines. There's something about winter storms that strips away every illusion of control we think we have. You can plan, prepare, check the forecast 100 times, but when nature decides to cut you off from the rest of the world, you're helpless. That's the lesson I learned last winter when Chelsea and I decided to rent a cabin in a place called Whispering Pines. Chelsea had found the listing online, an old family-owned property deep in the Appalachian Mountains. It was advertised as rustic but comfortable, with hiking trails, a fireplace, and a hot tub. It sounded perfect for a little bestie escape, a way to recharge after a stressful holiday season. The place was remote, but that was part of the appeal. No phones, no emails, no noise. Just snow, silence, and a stack of books we'd been meaning to read. We drove up early to beat the incoming snowstorm. The sky was already a heavy gray by the time we turned off the main road onto a narrow lane flanked by towering pines. The cabin itself was tucked so far back into the forest that we didn't see it until we were practically on the doorstep. It was quaint, sure, but there was an edge to its charm. The wood siding was weathered, the shutters askew, and a small shed out back leaned so badly to one side it looked like it might collapse. But the inside was cozy enough. Knotty pine walls, a wood stove in the corner, and the unmistakable scent of old furniture. The owner had left a note on the counter welcoming us and apologizing for the lack of modern amenities. By the time we unloaded the car, the snow was coming down, heavy. Big flakes that piled up fast. We weren't worried though. We had brought enough food for a week, and we had the wood stove for heat. If anything, the storm felt like an adventure. But that first night, I had trouble sleeping. It wasn't the wind or the cold. I had expected those. It was the scratching sound. Faint at first, like the creak of a tree branch against the roof, but then it moved. It started at one corner of the cabin and then crept along the wall. And then it stopped abruptly near the back door. I kept telling myself it was just a raccoon or maybe a loose shutter rattling in the wind. Still, I didn't sleep much. By morning, the snow was knee-deep and the sky showed no signs of clearing. The forecast had called for 12 inches, but we were already well past that. Chelsea suggested we check out the shed to see if there was a snow shovel or something to help dig us out. The shed was barely standing, its roof sagging under the weight of the snow. Inside, it was cluttered with old tools and gardening supplies. But what really caught our attention was a trap door in the corner, hidden beneath a tarp. It wasn't locked, just stuck from years of disuse. Chelsea pried it open with a crowbar, revealing a steep staircase leading down into darkness. We didn't go down. Not then. The darkness felt too thick and too heavy, and the air, wafted up, smelled of damp earth. Chelsea said we should leave it alone, and I didn't argue. But that night, the scratching came back, louder this time. It started just after midnight. The same creeping sound along the walls. Then came the thud, slow, deliberate, like someone pounding on the logs with a closed fist. Chelsea and I sat frozen in the living room, staring at the front door. The wood stove cast flickering shadows across the walls, and for a moment, I thought I saw something move outside the frosted window. We tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was an animal, maybe the wind. But when the sound shifted to the roof, our excuses fell apart. Whatever it was too heavy to be anything natural. The next morning, we found the tracks. They circled the cabin. Deep impressions in the snow that didn't look like any footprints I'd ever seen. Chelsea insisted that we check what was down there. Down in that trap door. But this time we brought a flashlight. The stairs creaked under our weight as we descended into a small dirt-floored room. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Tracy. The walls were lined with old shelves, and in the corner stood a wooden chest. It wasn't locked, just latched shut, but opening it felt like a mistake. Inside were jars, dozens of them, filled with a viscous black liquid. Some had strange objects floating inside, teeth, bones, unidentified shapes. A piece of paper was taped to the underside of the lid, in handwriting so shaky it was barely legible. The only words I could make out were property of Dr. A. Ward, W-A-R-D. Doctor? Jars full of body parts? This was giving mad scientist vibes and I was not here for it. We left the shed and decided to call for help. But our phones had no signal and the storm had buried the car. There was no walking out, not in snow that deep. That night, the banging started again, but this time it wasn't just on the walls or the roof, it was coming from the shed. By the time we worked up the courage to look, the trapdoor was open and that chest was gone. We didn't sleep after that. The sounds outside grew louder and more frenzied, like something circling. At one point, Chelsea swore she saw a figure standing at the edge of the woods, just barely visible in the moonlight. When dawn broke, we made a run for it. It didn't matter that snow was still falling or that the nearest town was miles away. We couldn't stay another night. But we never made it to town. About halfway down the road, we were intercepted by a snowplow. The driver, a burly man in his 50s, told us the storm had stranded several travelers and offered to take us back to his place until the roads were cleared. We didn't tell him about the cabin or the sounds or the trapdoor. But as we rode in the plow's cab, I glanced back at the cabin. Something was standing on the roof. It was tall and impossibly thin, and it watched us until the cabin disappeared from view. Even now, I can't tell you whether it was real or just my imagination. When we pulled up to the tow truck driver's cabin, an old hound dog ran out to greet him. As we pet the dog, Chelsea and I both sighed a breath of relief, the kind of peace that only a little furry friend can bestow. When we got inside, the man rushed down a dark hallway, and Chelsea and I both looked at each other a little nervously. It's pretty much every intelligent woman's cardinal rule to not get into a car and go home with a burly strange man. But we were desperate, and weighing our two options, our odds seemed better with this old dude in his cabin than whatever it was standing on the roof of ours. Or so I thought. The man emerged from the back of the house with 2 lush, fluffy bath towels and 2 pairs of men's XL sweatpants. He chuckled sheepishly and said, "Sorry, ladies, us mountain men don't really have the best accommodations for 2 young ladies such as yourselves." His accent was odd. I couldn't place it. It kind of sounded German, but like he was trying to hide it. We both looked at each other, dripping wet in our snow-soaked jeans, and we let out a grateful giggle as we grabbed the towels and sweatpants. He guided us to his spare bedroom, and he asked us if we wanted something to drink. He mentioned that he's a big hot chocolate fan, and he has a special recipe handed down to him from his German ancestors. Being of German descent myself, I am also a chocolate fiend, so without thinking, I immediately accept his offer for some of that sweet, toasty cocoa. Chelsea smiled sheepishly and nodded her head in agreement that she would love a cup too. She asked him if he can show her the bathroom, and she tells me she'll meet me out there whenever I'm done, and she shuts the door behind her. The cabin was cozy, with a roaring fireplace and unique 1940s vintage decor scattered throughout. And then I noticed what appeared to be a charger cord sticking out from underneath the bed. I bent down to pull it out, hoping to give my phone a little juice. And as I pulled on it, I realized it was stuck in a plastic storage box. I slid the box out from under the bed, and what I saw next made my stomach turn. The whole box was filled with cell phone chargers and wallets. First thing I noticed, all the phone cases looked feminine, glittery pink pastel colors. These looked like women's phones. I grabbed the first wallet I see and I opened it up. Inside is an ID for a Tiffany Jenkins from Indiana. Checking the date quickly, I notice that the ID is expired. Then Chelsea calls my name from the living room. I frantically shove the box back under the bed and I shuffle out of the room. I join Chelsea, who is already downing her hot cocoa next to the crackling fire. The man is still in the kitchen making up my cup of German chocolate brew when I whisper to Chelsea about the box under the bed. Then she says it sounds like he probably slangs fake IDs or old cell phones for extra cash. I nodded as I thought about it. Yeah, that could probably be it. We had several guy friends in college who did the fake ID thing, and they did have a lot of expired IDs in their possession, so I just let it go. Then the man came back in the room with my mug of piping hot chocolate. Now this was the darkest and thickest hot chocolate I have ever seen. He wasn't kidding about it being a secret recipe, but it must have been very dark chocolate, because even as creamy as it was also very bitter. I took one sip and I set it down. I started to realize that the stressful events of the past few days have really caught up to us, as I noticed Chelsea was already dozing off on the couch next to me. I guess a cozy fireplace will do that to you. Then the doorbell rings and the man strolls over to the front door. He steps out onto the porch, closing the door behind him. It's a delivery driver with a package. Hello, I have a delivery for Dr. Adolf Ward. Then it hits me. It was him. He was the owner of the trunk in the shed. He was who we were trying to escape this whole time. Oh my God, the black liquid. Did he put that black liquid from those jars into our drinks? Oh my God. Without even thinking, I jump up and I run back into the spare room. I pulled my phone off the charger and I decided that I am going to crawl out that damn window and run. I will go get help and I will come back for my bestie, because if we both get stuck here, we have zero hope of surviving this. So, there I am, in giant, oversized, creepy dude sweatpants, running through the woods in a snowstorm. What was I thinking? I'm never coming back to these mountains again. I kept running for what seemed like forever until I saw a faint light through the snow, off in the distance. Now, I do not handle cold weather well at all, so at this point I was running out of steam. But I just kept pushing myself, realizing that this was literally life or death for me and Chelsea at this point. As I finally make it to the edge of the woods, I basically trip from my momentum, and I fall out of the tree line and into a Bojangles parking lot. Now, any of you who know me know how much I love a good breakfast biscuit and a sweet tea from Bojangles. But I had never been happier to see that glowing yellow and red chicken sign than I was at that very moment. The employees inside Bojangles helped me call the police, and they were on the scene quickly. They drove me back up to where the man's cabin was. And where the cabin was sat an old abandoned run-down cabin that looked like nobody had been inside for 50 years. Then the police say that can't be the place. Nobody's lived there since that creepy German man who owned all this land up here disappeared. They said, there are always rumors that he was an escaped Nazi from Germany. One of those mad scientists, that the government pardoned and brought over here during the space race. A lot of local kids say they see orbs around this place, and everyone says it's haunted. What? How could there be no cabin here? My best friend was just drugged on the couch inside that cabin next to a raging fire, and now it's somehow morphed into this dilapidated shack? This can't be happening. I filed a missing persons report for Chelsea, but I wasn't going to let this go. The police drove me up the path to our rental cabin and helped me dig out my car. They followed me back down the winding mountain road and made sure I got back on the highway safely. The drive home was spent in silence, trying to figure out what the hell just happened to me. Was he a ghost? Did he find a way to manipulate space-time? Was that a time rift? Where, or should I say, when, is that evil man keeping my best friend? All I know is that I am never going to stop trying to find her. And if you ever find a good deal on a cabin in the Appalachian Mountains, at a place called Whispering Pines, don't go. And that's the tale of the winter at Whispering Pines, also known as the Mad Scientist. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Echo. And Ryan, thank you for the red carpet. Thank you for the hand hearts, Epic. And yes, Project Paperclip. All right, if you're new here, welcome in. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep better. I am here every night from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. Did you like that, Dub? Was that good? Yay, Dub got his story. Hi, Talks Good. Welcome in, beautiful. And if you guys like these stories, thank you, Jessica. You're so sweet. If you guys like these stories, I do write and record them all myself, and they are available on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. So if you look for Porch Lore, you will find me. Thank you for the cozy cryptids, Carmen and Jess and Gigi. Thank you, John. Yes, Jessica, thank you. Thank you for the hand hearts, Carmen. Gigi, thanks for the cozy cryptids. And welcome to the porch, everybody. As I always say, there is always room for one more on the porch. Thank you for the bubbles, Fat Bottom Girl. Those are cute. All right, and I will set up the next poll for us to vote for the next story. Give me 1 second, and I'll be right back. Thank you, Missy. That's so sweet. I'll be right back with the next poll. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax. Hi, Auntie Anna. How are you? Welcome back. Thank you for the cozy cryptids and the populars. Thanks, Lorna. Sweet dreams. Love ya. And yes, everybody says we need a Justice for Chelsea shirt. Good night, Lorna. Sweet dreams. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, thanks, Megan. It's actually YT does that. It's of the YT Live. YT does that automatically because they're awesome. Because now I'm on all 3 streaming. So YT does it itself. Stories from what page? Oh, I'm so glad, Megan. All right, I'll be right back with the next poll for you guys to vote. And if you are watching on YT or the T-Witch, don't worry about voting. Just sit back and relax because I only know how to do the polls on TT. So just sit back and relax. Be right back. Ryan, I don't even know what that page is. What is that? Is that some type of OnlyFans thing? All right, guys, the next poll is ready. Oh, wait, am I not supposed to say that one either, Dub? Sorry, I didn't even notice. Well, because on the other chat, he's saying some site I've never heard of that sounds like it might be something like a competition for that site. And I was like, wait, is that like, you're right. Sorry, whoops. Okay, guys, the poll is ready, and we have Justin. We have the Fresno Nightcrawlers. We have the Lake Worth Monster. We have the Honey Island Swamp Monster. We have Rain Crow Shelter. And we have the Melonheads. You can vote in the top left-hand corner. We have the Fresno Nightcrawlers, that creepy little creeps. The creepy pair of pants. Yes, the Fresno pants. The weird pajama pants. We have the Lake Worth Monster. We have the Honey Island Swamp Monster. We have Rain Crow Shelter. And we have the Melonheads. Who's it going to be? The creepy haunted pajama pants. The Lake Worth Monster. The Honey Island Swamp Monster. The Rain Crow Shelter. Or the Melonheads. Looks like creepy haunted pant people and Rain Crow Shelter are neck and neck. Hi, Jen. Welcome back. Jen, thank you for the crystal ball. Hi, Khaleesi. Lily, yeah, probably. I would think so. By the way, Ryan, this is my friend Justin. He's one of my moderators, and he's kind enough to come over here and ask what people want to vote for, and then he goes over to TT and votes for you guys because he's the best. Well, what do we have here? What do we have? Hi, Anthony. Aw, love you, Anthony. We miss you. Sending you all the love. We love you. I know, isn't he the best songbird? He's the sweetest. Justin's the sweetest. Guys, what do we have here? Daniel-san, are you seeing this? Daniel-san paging my emotional support human, Daniel-san. That one time at band camp said, you say Fresno, I say Frez, yes. Can you guys believe it? The Fresno Nightcrawlers didn't win. I can't believe it. You know who won? The Melonheads of Ohio. What? What? Daniel, yeah. Did you guys see that? That was neck and neck. And this story does feature our one and only Daniel-san, our porch light mod extraordinaire, my emotional support human being, and us on our adventure in Ohio to find the Melonheads. You're correct. That is an accurate assessment. That one time at band camp, you are correct. All right, so I will be right back with the tale of the melon heads. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax, and welcome to the porch. As I always say, there is always room for one more on the porch. So while I'm setting up the story, feel free to add one more by sharing out the live. You can hit that share arrow in the bottom right hand corner. You can refresh your repost, or if you haven't done it yet, hit that little yellow circle with the 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. Sharing it in your stories and everything else helps too, but reposting really helps a lot. I will be right back with the tale of the melon heads. Hi, Candace. They. I do love me some Daniel. Ooh, it's storming there. Perfect setting. Aw, Glitz and Glam, we love you too. I'm so glad you're here. That's so cute. I love that. Also, the melon heads are featured in the merch line. They are one of the cryptid arcanas. And they are the hermit. Because they're just sad little guys who are just excluded and lonely. So if you want to check out the Melonhead merch, they are the hermit card. Matt, is that what they call it these days? The Melonheads is a good band name. It's funny you say that because that's actually the name of mine and Daniel's band. Hi, Misbehavin'. Good night, Holly. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the melon heads. Ohio doesn't market its folklore the way coastal states do. There are no tidy plaques or guided lantern tours for most of it. The legends live in margins and half-joking warnings in the way locals change the subject when you ask too many follow-up questions. The Melonheads were one of those stories. Everyone I knew had heard of them, but almost no one wanted to admit how much they believed in them. The legend changes depending on who tells it, but the core remains the same. Bald, pale humanoids with grotesquely swollen heads, child-sized bodies, huge eyes, sharp teeth. Living deep in the woods and abandoned tunnels around places like Kirtland, Chardon, and the outskirts of Cleveland. Some versions say they're the descendants of asylum patients. Others say they're the result of cruel medical experiments. And a few say they aren't human at all. The stories change depending on who you ask, but the warnings don't. In Ohio, the stories cluster around a few specific places. But the most persistent were tied to the wooded backroads and ravines near Kirtland and the outskirts of Cleveland's rural edges. Places where the land dips unexpectedly, where roads narrow without warning, where GPS loses confidence. Daniel and I decided to meet up because of those stories. We were TikTok friends first, bonded by a shared interest in folklore and the quiet creepiness of places people assume are boring. Both of us lived in Ohio, and we had heard the legends. The more I researched, the more I noticed how deliberately vague the dismissals really were. No one ever said the legend was impossible. They just said it was exaggerated. Daniel knew more about the history than I did, but I had been digging into the area for weeks. And Kirtland had a complicated past, layered with religious movements, abandoned properties, and stretches of land that changed hands quietly and often. In the early 20th century, there had been multiple privately run children's facilities in rural Ohio, some legitimate and some not. Records were incomplete. Fires, relocations, quiet closures, the kind of historical gaps where legends love to root. The version that kept resurfacing in my research involved an isolated doctor who conducted experimental treatments on children with hydrocephalus. According to the legend, when the facility shut down, the children were either abandoned or escaped into the surrounding woods. Over generations, they survived, adapted, and withdrew completely from normal society. That explanation was often presented as a way to rationalize the story, to make it less supernatural. But it raised more questions than it answered. Children don't survive alone in the woods without infrastructure, and communities don't remain hidden for decades without leaving traces. We chose a stretch of road locals unofficially referred to as Melonhead Road, though it had never appeared under that name on any map. It curved through dense woods, dipping into shallow valleys where sunlight struggled to reach the forest floor. I had read that the sightings tended to happen near dusk, when the light flattened and the distances became hard to judge. We arrived earlier than that, parking where the pavement gave way to gravel, and the woods closed in tightly enough to feel intentional. The air smelled damp and old, like leaves. And the forest didn't feel abandoned. It felt occupied, in a way that resisted intrusion. I remember noticing how quiet it was. Not the peaceful quiet of nature, but the restrained kind, like a held breath. Even the insects were quiet. As we walked, I paid close attention to the terrain. This part of Ohio is deceptive. It looks gentle at first glance, but the land is cut through with sudden drops, narrow ravines, and sink-like depressions that aren't immediately visible until you're almost on top of them. I understood how a place like this could swallow people, how disappearances could be misattributed to accidents. The woods don't need to be malicious to be dangerous. The first unsettling detail was the lack of animal movement. No deer tracks crossing the path, no birds scattering as we passed. I had grown up hiking in the woods, and this absence wasn't normal. Predators clear areas like this. Something had staked a claim here, and everything else had learned to stay away. We found the remnants of something man-made not far from the road. Concrete fragments half buried under leaves. Rusted metal twisted into shapes that suggested fencing or bed frames. Nothing intact enough to identify. I thought about the children's facilities that I had researched and about how easy it would have been a century ago to close a place like that without any oversight. about how many lives could simply vanish into paperwork errors and unmarked graves. The deeper we went, the more distorted the woods felt. Trees leaned inward at unnatural angles. Branches grew low and tangled, forcing us to slow down and move deliberately. I became aware of being observed, but not from one direction, from several. Every time I tried to pinpoint it, it slipped away. Dusk crept in gradually, draining all of the color from the forest until everything settled into shades of gray and sickly green. And that was when I noticed the footprints. They were small, bare, and pressed deep into the soft earth as if the person who made them carried unusual weight for their size. Then I became acutely aware of Daniel's presence beside me, steady but alert. His usual humor had receded, replaced by the careful focus of someone who knew when not to underestimate a situation. We continued forward, not because we felt brave, but because turning around suddenly felt like a worse option. The woods had closed in behind us without our noticing. The first figure appeared at the edge of my vision, just long enough to register as wrong. I turned slowly, my heart hammering, and I saw nothing. But the creepy sensation didn't fade. And then they began to emerge gradually. Pale shapes, half concealed behind trees. Rounded silhouettes that didn't match any animal I'd ever seen. And then one of them stepped fully into view. My brain struggled to reconcile what my eyes were seeing. The head was enormous in proportion to the body, bulbous and misshapen. The skin stretched thin and pale over an exaggerated skull. The face was mostly featureless at a distance, but the eyes were unmistakable, large, dark, and reflective in the dim light. It watched us without blinking, and then another appeared, and then another. They didn't rush, they didn't threaten. They just slowly surrounded us with the patience of something that had done this before. I realized then that the stories about them being feral monsters were wrong. These beings weren't wild. They were controlled and organized. The smell hit me next. A sharp coppery scent layered with something medicinal like old antiseptic. It triggered an image in my mind of hospital corridors from a different era. Green walls, harsh light. Fear disguised as care. One of the melon heads moved closer. And I could see now that its skin bore scars. Some old, some newer, crisscrossing its limbs in patterns that looked surgical. And then I realized these weren't the descendants of experiments. They were the experiments. They hadn't survived isolation by accident. They had been kept hidden and maintained, whether by someone else or by their own internal structure, I couldn't tell. But this wasn't a forgotten tragedy frozen in time. This was an ongoing one. The circle tightened and I became aware of how exposed we were, how far we were from the road. One of them reached down and picked up a rusted metal object from the ground. It took me a moment to recognize it as part of an old medical brace, the kind used to restrain patients. The melon had turned it over in its hands, staring at it. And that was the moment I understood. The melon heads weren't haunting these woods, they were guarding them. Whatever facility once stood here, whatever had been done to them, it hadn't ended cleanly. Evidence remained, structures buried, records hidden. The melon heads had not stayed out of fear of the outside world. They stayed because this place held the truth of what had been done to them, and they would not allow it to be uncovered. The one holding the brace met my gaze directly. In its eyes, I saw not malice, but sorrow. And then I realized we were not prey, we were trespassers. And I knew with certainty that if we pushed any further, if we attempted to document or remove anything from this place, we would not be allowed to leave. Slowly and deliberately, Daniel and I began to back away, careful not to turn our backs. The melonheads tracked every step, their formation shifting to maintain distance without closing in. The woods seemed to respond to them, branches parting just enough to allow their movement, roots rising where we stopped as if to trip us should we falter. When the gravel road finally came into view, the tension didn't break immediately. They followed us to the tree line, stopping exactly where the forest ended. They stood there in the fading light, a silent boundary between past and present. The last thing I saw before they melted back into the trees was the one with the brace lifting its head slightly, an acknowledgement, a mutual understanding. The legend of the melonheads exists to keep people away. Framed as a campfire story so no one digs too deep, because the truth is more unsettling. Ohio didn't just create monsters through neglect and cruelty. It hid them. And they are still there, watching over the evidence, ensuring that some histories remain buried where they believe they belong. And that's the tale of the Melonheads featuring Daniel-san. All right, welcome in everybody. Good night, Mary. My name's Devin and this is Porch Lore, and I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. I am here every night from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. I gave you tingles, I'm so glad. Oh, you're going to bed. Oh, good night, Lily. Sorry. Good night, Lily. Maylee, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the porch. All right. And if you are new here, you probably don't know, but if you aren't new here, you know what time it is. It is grilled cheese time. And yes, Ohio is wild. Oh, Thay, you're so cute. Thay, made me so sleepy. All right, guys. So I will be right back with everybody's favorite story, how we ended the evening, the tale of the night shift at Sycamore Diner. So grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax, and welcome to the porch. Jewel, it sounds like me, like you don't have a very long attention span, boo-boo. If you can't wait like 5 whole minutes for the next story, it sounds to me like that's a you problem, honey. You might need to work on your attention span a little bit, or your patience. Because I literally just finished a story. So if every time you come in, there's no stories being told, that implies to me that you come in and out so quickly that you don't even catch a story because you are so impatient that you just doom scroll all night. So that's something you might want to work on, because that's kind of embarrassing. You know, having an attention span and a patience is kind of like a major, major thing in terms of character and that kind of thing. So just throwing that out there. Maybe work on it. And you can work on that here by maybe chilling out, calming down. Right, Christina? And there shows up my best friend. She's so funny. I love you. Anyway, I'll be right back after I take a quick swig with the tale of the night shift at Sycamore Diner. Welcome to the porch. Christina, were you saying that you found yourself humming the part? What part were you? Is that what you? Because same. Who else does that? Who else has a in their head? Yep. Right here. Here it comes. Yep. Look how many people are saying yeah all the time. Okay, so it's not just us then, because yep. I'm like, it really is a siren song or something because it's stuck in my head a lot. Yes, April, that's kind of what I was going for, so I'm glad that's what it reminds you of. Oh, corn. Oh, Jewel's gonna be pissed. Jewel is not gonna like this chitter chatter. I love American Horror Story too. Just that one though. The others are a little much for me, but just that one. Really, Millie? It's on there. Well, it depends. It depends. Because the older stories, I didn't have this song yet. So they have different songs. But when I do the new compilation that I'm going to do, everybody keeps asking for, I'm going to use this song the whole time. There's going to be no changing songs. Yeah, the older ones have different music. Jen, why? What are we laughing about? Am I imitating the song? Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the night shift at Sycamore Diner. Good night, James. And after what, CJ? After what? Because I was a news reporter too. We can snap right into it. Good night, Starlet. Oh, after my hums. I'm not usually the kind of person who pulls over on back roads at night. Not unless I absolutely have to. That's not true. But that night, something about the storm, the long drive, and that growling pit in my stomach convinced me otherwise. Chelsea, you thought it was creepy? Chelsea. I was hungry. It was late October, and I was headed back to campus after a weekend visit with my friends in North Carolina. I had a midterm on Monday, and my plan had been to drive straight through, 5 hours, no stops. But then came the rain. One of those cold, slanted, whispery rains that creeps into your bones and makes the windshield wipers sound like a heartbeat. I had taken the wrong exit, trying to bypass traffic, and I ended up on a 2-lane back road. surrounded by nothing but pine trees and power lines. And that's when I saw the neon sign. Sycamre Diner. The O in Sycamore was flickering like it hadn't worked right in years. But the rest was lit up in a cherry red neon. A tiny beacon in the middle of nowhere. I figured I'd grab a quick bite, maybe some coffee, check my map, and get back on the highway. But I should have just kept driving. I should have known something was off the second I stepped inside CJ. The bell over the door jingled, but not like a normal bell. It made this sharp metallic ping that echoed longer than it should have. The air inside was warm, almost too warm, and it smelled like grilled onions and pancake syrup. The place looked like it had been yanked straight from 1957. Checkerboard floor, red vinyl booths, a long counter with spinning stools, even a jukebox in the corner that looked like it hadn't worked in decades. And the people, they all stopped and looked at me the second I walked in. Not in a rude way, just like they weren't expecting me. Like I'd walked into the middle of a sentence that no one wanted to finish. A waitress, tall, with a beehive hairdo and a light blue uniform, smiled and waved me over. "You get caught in the rain, sweetheart," she said, handing me a laminated menu. I nodded, still trying to shake off that weird feeling. Yeah, the highway's a mess. She chuckled and patted my shoulder. "Well, you're safe here. Sycamore's always open for travelers." I sat down at a corner booth. The vinyl creaked, and I remember the jukebox shifted songs by itself and started playing some slow doo-wop ballad that I didn't recognize. I looked around and everyone looked normal, sort of. There was a trucker with a thick gray beard drinking coffee at the counter. A young couple whispering to each other in a booth by the jukebox. And an older woman stirring tea like she was lost in thought. But they all had the same look in their eyes, like they were there but also somewhere else. Like they were watching me out of the corner of their eyes even when they were looking down. The waitress came back with coffee. Strong, hot, and surprisingly good. And I ordered a grilled cheese with fries. Simple. Safe. She wrote it down with one of those clicky pens and said, "Don't worry, it's on the house tonight." Thank you, Meta. And that was my second red flag. No diner just gives food away. While I waited, I took out my phone to check the map. No signal, and I mean nothing. No bars. No Wi-Fi. Not even GPS. Just a blank screen with a spinning wheel. I glanced out the foggy window and the storm was still going. But now the wind had picked up. I could see the power lines swaying like jump ropes in the dark. But the diner stayed perfectly lit. Not even a flicker. The food came fast, too fast, like under 5 minutes. But it looked amazing. Golden bread, gooey cheese, crispy fries with that little metal cup of ketchup on the side. I took a bite. Delicious. I mean, I've eaten at a lot of diners, greasy spoons, college joints, and roadside shacks, but this was hands down the best grilled cheese I've ever had. The fries were perfect, and the coffee never ran out. Every time I took a sip, it was somehow full again. I was halfway through the sandwich when the trucker got up to leave. He walked right past my table, nodded once and whispered, "Don't stay past midnight." That was all he said. What? But he was already out the door. The waitress gave me a tight smile and walked over collecting his empty mug. Old Earl, he's always saying weird stuff. Just ignore him. But I couldn't. Something about his voice stuck with me. Something about the way he looked at me. Not like I was a customer, but like I was in danger. I checked the clock over the register. 11:42. I figured I had just enough time to finish my fries, grab the check, and head out. I still had at least 3 hours left on the road. But when I stood up, the lights flickered. Just once, and then again. And then everything in the diner stopped moving. The couple by the jukebox froze mid-sentence. The woman with the tea stopped stirring, her spoon hanging in midair. The waitress, her hand reached out for a mug, just stopped. Like someone hit pause on the entire scene. I took a step back, and the jukebox buzzed, glitched, and restarted a new track. I could still move, but no one else could. And then I heard it. Not music, not a storm, a voice. Not coming from anyone I could see. Just a whisper that seemed to echo from the walls themselves. I backed toward the door, my heart hammering in my chest. I turned the knob. Locked. Of course it was locked. I tried the windows, but they were sealed shut. I started banging on the glass and shouting. But no one was outside. Just the wind and the rain and that flickering red sign. Sycamore. I turned back toward the dining room, and everyone was gone. Not frozen anymore, just gone. The booths were empty. No plates, no crumbs, no mugs. No sign that anyone had ever even been there, except for my plate. Still warm and still half-eaten. And then I saw the waitress. She was standing by the kitchen doors, her silhouette backlit by flickering fluorescent light. Her face was wrong. The same smile, but her eyes were empty, black and endless, like someone had painted over them. "You shouldn't be here, honey," she said in that same cheerful voice. "Not yet." I stumbled back, knocking over a chair as she took one slow step toward me. The others, they were waiting, but you just wandered in. She raised a hand and the walls began to shimmer. Literally shimmer, like heat waves on asphalt. The checkered floor rippled, and the red booths started to fade, becoming outlines and then shadows and then nothing. And then I saw it, underneath the illusion. It was charred wood, cracked tile, broken beams and black soot, like the diner had burned down long ago. I ran. I don't even remember how I got out. One second I was inside and the next, I was on the side of the road, soaked to the bone and gasping for air. My car was still there, parked on gravel that didn't even look like a lot anymore. Just weeds and puddles, no neon sign, no glowing windows, just nothing. I drove back to campus that night in silence. No music, no Porch Lore podcast. I kept glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see that red neon flicker back to life. I didn't tell anyone, not for weeks. Not until I finally looked up Sycamore Diner on a local history site. And I found it. Burned to the ground in 1972. A gas leak. The whole place went up at midnight, and everyone inside was killed. 5 patrons, a waitress, and a cook. The photo in the article. The same checkerboard floor. The same red booths. The same neon sign. Sycamore. And in the corner of the photo, that same waitress, smiling. I never took that back road again. I don't even drive at night anymore if I can help it. And every time I see a neon diner sign, something in me flinches just a little. Because I know I was there. And I know I wasn't supposed to be. But the part that keeps me up sometimes, the part that really makes my stomach turn, that was the best damn grilled cheese I've ever had. And I didn't even pay for it. And that's the tale of the night shift at Sycamore Diner. And with that, Oh, that's so cute, Jen. Thanks for the Sakura corgi. Aw. I love that. That's so cute. Thank you. I love all the Sakura ones. I know, wasn't it so cute? And with that, Porch Pals, I will say goodnight. I love you guys very much. I will see you again tomorrow. Yes, Justin. I will see you guys again tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night, Jack. Thanks for joining us again. Good night, They. Good night, Rachel. Good night, Jade. Good night, CJ. Good night, Angela. Good night, Christina. Good night, Squeaks and Melly and April and Trish and Rochelle and Jen and Tracy and Ange and John and Lisa and Rochelle. I hope you guys get some wonderful sleep and have some good dreams. If you can't fall asleep, head on over to my YT channel and you will find a playlist called Bedtime Stories where you can listen to all these stories recorded by me, or now you can watch the live recordings. So sweet dreams, and don't forget, stay spooky.